Ford versus Ferrari, or Le Mans 66 as it's known in the UK and in other territories. It is a racing sports drama film that was recently released. Was produced by Chernin Entertainment, TSG Entertainment, Turnpike Films, and it was distributed by 20th Century Fox. Directed by James Mangold, which is a fantastic director, the director of Logan and 3:10 to Yuma. Fantastic films. Now, I was looking forward to this film because I'm a big fan of automobiles. I love race cars. I love anything that has to do with the history of vehicles. So definitely, the first time I saw the trailer, I was just sold to it. So really, I was looking forward to go and watch it. So now that I did, definitely I have a lot to share about the film, the good and the bad. So stay tuned. The good. The most important thing, besides the fact that this is based on a true story and definitely one of the greatest races of all time, is the fact of the cast. The cast here is fantastic. High caliber actors and actresses. You have Matt Damon, who plays the part of Carroll Shelby, the legend of pretty much of the automobile industry. Christian Bale, who plays Ken Miles, legend car racer. John Bernthal. You got Tracy Letts. You have Josh Lucas, who actually is kind of like the villain in the film. I love when he does that. He's definitely good at those type of the guys the jerks that you don't like. And you got Catriona Balfe, who plays Molly Miles, the wife of Ken Miles, Christian Bale's character. But man, the cast here is fantastic. They have so much weight in the film. Particularly Matt Damon and Christian Bale, that interaction, the chemistry that they have on camera playing Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, it's good. I really love them portraying the characters. They're fantastic, but everyone else does a fantastic job. Tracy Letts as the Henry Ford II, the CEO of Ford Motors. I like him too. He definitely portrays the character so well. So definitely that's the biggest thing you're going to see in this film. It's just the powerful cast. Now, besides a good cast, you need to have a good story for a movie to really be strong. And I'm glad to say that this film has a good story. Of course, it's based on real events that happened on the Le Mans 66 race. So I love the fact that they used that particular race, which is historical for Ford and also for America. And definitely they inject that in the film. I love the Americana film of this movie. Definitely they really portray this era. I love those period films because definitely they portray that era, and you can see it in the story. It is a classic American story. It doesn't deviate from that. It feels like those old movies back in the 60s and 70s, and there were a lot of race movies back then that were phenomenal. Movies like the 1966 Grand Prix, which is a classic, the 1971 Le Mans by Steve McQueen. Those are phenomenal films. When you come to think of it, I grew up watching those films. My father was a big fan of those films. So this film gives you that feel of that story. And of course, you kind of know, if you know the story, you know the history of the development of the Ford GT40 and the Le Mans race, and the way Ford, in that race, defeated Ferrari. So definitely you already know what's going on, but the way they portray it's so good. It feels like a period film that it just classic. It feels like classic Americana, classic filmmaking, and that's just phenomenal. And that brings me to that point where I feel the film benefits the most is just the cinematography. Now, James Mangold is a fantastic director, and he has proven that in all the films that he has created. Logan, Girl Interrupted, 3:10 to Yuma. He knows how to portray those kind of like classic style films of old, bygone era of Hollywood, and you feel it here. There's a lot of really wide screenshots. Everything is wide, everything is colorful, and it really feels like those old classic films. So definitely they did a fantastic job. I love pretty much the close-up shots on the racetrack is definitely good. There are great moments there. It really helps that, particularly when you see these open spaces, wide open spaces. I feel that that's what the movie was intending. It really kind of it's a reminiscent of that bygone era of that the 60s and 70s, where there was this free spirit in America, this the last frontier feel of America can do it. It's a very strong on those American values, and I really like it, and definitely the cinematography helps. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. I would say the part where this film suffers the most is that it's kind of a predictable plot. First and foremost, of course, it's based on real events. So you already know, if you know the history of it, you already know the ending. But it kind of plays safe on that sense, which is not bad because, sometimes you want to go to the movie just to be entertained. And those classic movies of the 60s and 70s were like that. It was just about entertainment, about a good ride. And this film is a good ride, but definitely doesn't deviate from any norm. There are times when I feel that the movie could be more impactful in the message or, in regards of the characters, because it's character driven. But it try to goes in that direction, and all of a sudden goes into more like the event, in this case, the situation that is happening within the race. So it kind of loses some of that. So that kind of affects some of the pacing. There are slow moments throughout the film. So I would say that that's the only thing. It's not the major thing, but there are times that you might feel, if you're the type of person that likes like a constant action of things happening and evolving fast and rapid, this is not the type of film that you're going to enjoy. This is a more it's an experience that you have to sit down through, and you have to kind of enjoy for what it is. And of course, there's going to be some slow moments throughout the film. That doesn't mean that the film is bad. It's just taking momentum, but it does it at intervals within the film. And that brings me to probably the biggest offender in this film, and the biggest offender for some, and not necessarily for everyone. But the historical accuracy of this film, it does take liberties. The film takes liberties with the story. And it changes some facts, and it concentrates primarily on the characters of Ken Miles and Carroll Shelby, of course, but it loses some of that authenticity because some events don't happen the way they happen in real life. So for someone that knows the story, you have to remember that most of the people that are going to watch this film are people that love this type of films and love vehicles, love cars, love Ford. And they're going to watch it. They already know the story. They already know the facts. And you're going to encounter some situations where it's not true to the story. So it takes liberties. It's inspired on the events. It doesn't mean that it's a documentary, and we don't expect this to be a documentary. But it's always good when a film is 100% accurate or tries to be as much as possible for the people that were there, for the people that know the story, for people that are fans for years of this event, and they're big fans of Ken Miles and his legendary win. So I would say that that's probably another thing that not necessarily everyone is going to notice, but if you are a big fan of this case of this race and the Ford GT40 of Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, you're definitely going to feel disappointed somehow. In conclusion, I love this film. I'm gonna be honest with you. I just had a good time. I felt like a kid watching a film that I grew up watching. Those classic American racing films, but also the French films and Italian films back in the day with my dad. He was a big fan of those films. And I felt like that. It is a fun film. It has the American spirit in it, and it does it in a very, without being too political. Of course, there's a message here in regards to the man. At the end of the day, doesn't matter what happened in the world, or I would say corporate America. It's just the man behind the wheel. And that's what the story is all about, and that's what this film is all about. It's a man that maybe he had always been wronged by, I would say, his bosses, of the people that were above him, but ultimately behind that wheel, he's a man alone, against the world, and doing what he loves the most. And I think that's the part that a lot of people that love vehicles, love cars, and love racing can find themselves connected, and I feel that this film connects in that level. So definitely it's a great film. It's a fun film that needs to be, I would say, celebrated. The cast is fantastic. The acting is fantastic. It does have slow moments, and definitely it's not, I would say, historically accurate 100%, but definitely there's a lot that you can gain from it. It's simplistic in its approach, but that's sometimes all you need. You don't need nothing complicated or too dramatic or trying to go too political into matters. No, it's not. You don't want that. And I feel that this film delivers in that promise. So if I have to give this film a final score, in my opinion, is a perfect 8.5 out of 10. Perhaps it's a 9, but I do feel that 8.5 due to the fact that there are some inaccuracies and also some slow moments throughout the film. But I feel that the film does what it needs to do and is a fun entertainment, and in my opinion, one of the best films of 2019. But what do you think? Have you watched the film? Do you enjoy it? Are you planning to watch it? Definitely it's a movie that you need to watch. So once again, my friends, God bless. Don't forget to leave your comments below and to like, to comment, and subscribe. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.